Good evening, everyone. We'll call the meeting of the Denison City Council to order for this Monday, May the 18th, 2026. I'd like to welcome everyone. We've got a very nice crowd here tonight. Thanks, everyone, for coming. And we will open our meeting, as we always do, with a prayer, and we'd call on Drew Svensson from First Christian Church to come up and offer our invocation. And then we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Mary Tate, Director of Development Services. If you'll please stand.
Would you bow with me in prayer? Our gracious and great Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings that we enjoy here in this country. Thank you for the men and women who have sacrificed to make our freedoms possible. We think of those who still make sacrifices even now. Our military around the world, be gracious to them, watch over them, and bless their families. God, we thank you for the many here in our community who sacrifice and serve to keep us safe, to protect us. God, those first responders, those in law enforcement, our firefighters, nurses, doctors, many others who sacrifice. Thank you for those who serve in our city, the countless men and women who give up their time and their energy to make this a great place to live. Thank you for those in the city council, Lord, who are serving here tonight. Bless their families. Give them wisdom, give them discernment, that they may make decisions that would both honor you and bless our community. We pray all these things in the name of Christ Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and the pledge to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. I'd like to acknowledge that we have a quorum here for this meeting of our city councilmen and women. And we'll move to item number 2 on our agenda, and this is a proclamation in honoring the National Public Works Week. So all of you in the Public Works and families, if you want to join me, we'll come down to the center here and we have a proclamation.
Yeah, well represented.
Okay, Ronnie, you get the prize for getting the most people out.
They didn't tell you had to stay all night, did they?
We shut the doors after this.
Greetings. We have everybody?
Uh-oh, here comes somebody. Uh-oh, one more.
Okay. We're gonna wait for one more here. Come on up. That's, I'm gonna have to get you some tennis shoes. All right. Who wants to join me over here? Okay. And then we'll take another picture when we get through with this. But every department in our city is important, but particularly our Public Works Department. They keep the water flowing and quite a few other things for us. So anyway, we are so proud that everyone is here tonight, and I'd like to offer this proclamation. Whereas the Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Denison. And whereas these dedicated individuals provide essential services that maintain and improve the quality of life for all residents, including water, sewer, streets, drainage, sanitation, engineering, and public facilities. And whereas the Public Works professionals play a critical role in emergency response and recovery, often working behind the scenes in all conditions to ensure continuity of vital services. And whereas The efficiency of the public works system of the city of Denison is a direct reflection on the dedication, the skill, and the professionalism of its public works department. And whereas the city of Denison Public Works Department demonstrates outstanding commitment to serving the community with integrity, innovation, and excellence. And whereas the American Public Works Association has designated the week of May 17th to 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week to recognize the contributions of public works professionals nationwide. Now therefore, I, Robert Crawley, Mayor of the City of Denison, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th to the 23rd as National Public Works Week in the City of Denison, and encourage all residents to recognize and thank the dedicated public works professionals for their substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. So, Mr. Bates, I'm going to hand this over to the Director of Public Works. Proclamation. Thank you.
Yeah. Beep, beep, beep.
Okay, we're now to item number 3 on our agenda. That's the public comments. Citizens may speak on action items listed on the agenda. A request to speak card should be completed and returned to the city clerk upon arrival and prior to the council reaching this public comments section of the agenda. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise required by law. Comments related to public hearings listed below, if any, will be heard when the specific hearing starts. We have 3 cards tonight, and I believe each of them is concerning item 5B, and that's Marshall Bell, Bree Smith, and Lauren Wilson. So we'll call you to speak as we get to item 5B. Item number 4 on our agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that anyone desires to be pulled and taken on a separate basis? If not, is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Redwine, a second by Councilman Thorne. Any other discussion, questions, comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Gets us down to the public hearings, item number 5. And so we have Ms. Diana York will come forward to present item A, which is to hold a discussion, receive report, and conduct a public hearing to take action on an ordinance to rezone approximately 1.26 acres, known as 1313, 1317, and 1331 West Thatcher. Ms. York, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first item I have for you tonight is a request to rezone the subject property from the single-family 7.5 residential district to the commercial district to allow for potential development of retail space. The subject property is located at the corner of Woodlawn Boulevard and West Thatcher Street. And the purpose, as I mentioned, is to develop in a retail manner. I will say that this aerial, you kind of see where there are a couple of lots in between Woodlawn and the highlighted parcel. That property is already zoned commercial. So this is bringing in additional acreage into that existing commercial zoning to allow for that potential development. This is the survey. Woodlawn Boulevard serves as a TxDOT right-of-way, and so pending this zoning approval, the applicant will move forward with all of those necessary development submittals, such as site plan, civil engineering plan, and because that is a TxDOT right-of-way, a traffic impact analysis will be required as supplemental documentation to those submittals to determine what, if any, mitigation is required for traffic. The future land use plan does designate this area to be developed in a mixed commercial manner. It also designates this property to be located within a revitalization area. And typically, when we look at revitalization areas, we're looking at redevelopment. And so that means sidewalks, facade improvements, things of that nature. Because this is a new development, it automatically is revitalized, right? It'll meet all of our minimum development standards for landscaping, parking, any of the civil requirements. And so it does meet that intent of a revitalized area. The commercial zoning does also meet that mixed commercial designation by the future land use plan. The Planning and Zoning have already approved a replat, or the Planning and Zoning Commission, excuse me, have already approved a replat associated with this property. They also recommended approval of this request at their meeting on May 12th, and staff recommends approval as well. Present for any questions you may have, and the applicant is here as well.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
Do we know what type of commercial businesses or what's going here?
At this time, I don't. You may want to ask the applicant and see if they can share any insight into that.
Yeah, if you'll come.
Please. If you don't mind, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Spencer Morrison, 2909 Meadowglen Drive, Flower Mound, Texas. And to answer your question, Ms. Teresa, we have, 2 to 4 different single tenant use, retail folks that we work with. We don't know specifically who it is right now. There's, a handful that we again work with regularly. But at the moment, it hasn't been decided which one will take this lot.
Fair enough.
All right,
Happy
thank
to
you.
answer anything else.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Morrison. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing, and at this time, we will open that public hearing at 6:14 p.m. And are there those who wish to speak in favor of or against the proposed ordinance to rezone approximately 1.26 acres? If not, hearing none, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Are there questions or comments from council? If not, is there a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve an ordinance rezoning the subject property from the SF 7.5 single-family residential district to the C commercial district to allow for retail use.
I second.
We have a motion by Councilman Thomas, a second by Councilman Redwine. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Brings us to agenda item number 5B. Receive a report, hold discussion and conduct a public hearing and take action on ordinance amending section 28.49 use regulation charts to update permitted districts for data center and to create a new category for telecommunications facility and to amend Section 28.63 definitions to update the definition for data center and to add a definition for the telecommunications facility. Ms. York, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello, everybody again. The second item I have for you tonight is a proposed text amendment. This is initiated by the city staff that modifies the city zoning ordinance, as the mayor just stated, to update regulations related to data centers. I kind of mentioned already that this is a city-initiated amendment. We're looking at, our zoning code is really old. It's from 2009, and over a course of time between all kinds of staff that has come through the city of Denison, there are a bunch of Band-Aids on there. But one thing that hasn't been amended is what a data center is. And so through looking at our use regulation chart and seeing any amendments that we can make there, we discovered that the data center use, it was allowed by right in several existing zoning districts, and those include the regional retail, commercial, business park, light industrial, and heavy industrial districts. Allowing those by right in those districts does not adequately account for the potential impacts or ensure compatibility with surrounding uses. This proposed amendment that staff is seeking approval for removes that by right allowance and rather restricts that data center use to the light industrial and heavy industrial district with a required conditional use permit. As you know, conditional use permits kind of introduce a level of review, allowing staff, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the City Council to evaluate each proposal on a case-by-case basis. And given the lack of development standards for this use in our current code or in any of our manuals or other processes, the conditional use permit will provide the opportunity for the city to consider site-specific factors such as location, infrastructure capacity, and compatibility with adjacent development, as well as to incorporate appropriate conditions to mitigate potential impacts. While also reviewing the use regulation chart, we determined that the current definition that is listed in Chapter 28 for a data center is not current with how data centers are perceived or how they operate now. Back in 2009, that was a completely different world when it came to what data centers did for everyone. And so we did amend the definition to be a little bit more in line with how data centers operate today, and that's on your screen. I don't have the current data center definition, but it reads more of like a switchboard type of thing, telecommunication. During when all the fiber individuals came through, putting fiber in our ground, they had to have hubs for all of their fiber or the connections, and that's a little over my head. I read the zoning code. I don't know how fiber works, but they needed hubs to store all their information. And so we utilized the existing data center use to allow those hubs or those facilities within our neighborhoods and within our community, with restricting the data center to the two zoning districts as proposed with the conditional use permit. It would effectively make those structures non-conforming. And so in a way to counter that, we did create a telecommunication facility to accommodate those type of smaller structures that house our fiber and allow us to continue to get internet. We also created a definition specifically for that use, which is on your screen there. The proposed amendments reflect the evolving nature and impacts of data center development and establish a more deliberate regulatory framework. Staff do believe that these amendments strengthen the city's ability to promote compatibility with surrounding development and to carefully consider the long-term land use implications of these land uses. I will say that this is a quick fix to a concern that your planning staff has with the by right use that is currently listed within the zoning code. We do plan on coming forward with the development standards to better outline what we would be asking for, what we would need in the future if one of these uses came into or tried to come into our community. It'll help with the conditional use permit process, but definitely, in staff's opinion, it is too frivolous how they are currently allowed. So Staff recommends approval. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the proposed amendments at their meeting on May 12th. They also provided a lot of insight into possibly strengthening these definitions and these, especially the definitions in the future as we learn more through development standards writing of what the actual capacity for a telecommunication facility is versus a data center. We hope to have those development standards come before the Planning and Zoning Commission within a couple of months. And I'm present for any questions you may have. I apologize.
Could you just go over the conditional use permit process one more time, please?
Yes, sir. So a conditional use permit is a zoning case where, I'll just kind of start from the beginning. If you want a zoning or if you want to rezone or zone a property or want a conditional use permit, it starts with a pre-development meeting. After the pre-development meeting and guidance has been given by staff, if a applicant chooses to move forward, they would submit a conditional use permit to staff, go through the review process, and ultimately go before the Planning and Zoning Commission for a recommendation, and then City Council for final action. And that's shortening it. Those take a little bit of time to go through.
So there's a process, and it would require complete details provided by whomever might be interested in that.
That's correct. And a lot of that based off of what we know to be of issues today, it's all capacity and infrastructure related, correct? Uses and compatibility come into play as well, but when you think of what we see in other communities, it's a large scale, and it's looking at infrastructure and capacity for the most part. So I would say that the conditional use permit would weigh very heavily on what that looks like. I guess there is a process.
Okay. At this point in time, do you know of anyone who has approached the city about a data center?
No, sir. No, this is strictly precautionary. It was something, it didn't come of any pre-development meetings that we may have had. This was my staff, Felicia and Justin. We are looking at the use regulation chart, and it was through going A through Z that we determined that this was existing as it is.
So what we're really doing is just tightening the regulations that would need to be approved by anyone who might be interested in that. But to date, no one has approached us, correct? We're just
Yes, sir.
adding some definitions that we did not have before.
Yes, sir. We are strengthening the use chart, removing a by right allowance altogether, and not allowing them in certain districts. But in the 2 districts they are allowed, it's a process even if they were to come in. And the definition, just modernizing it, because I graduated high school in 2009, so it's been a long time ago.
Brag.
Things have changed, man. Things have changed. So it's just very outdated. A lot of the zoning code is like that, and when we find something that we can fix immediately and put a quick fix on it while we determine how we can even make that tighter, we try and take that opportunity to do it.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any questions from council?
Do you guys plan to differentiate by size?
I think that was something that the Planning and Zoning Commission brought up was scalability, types of, I guess, the amount of, whether it be the size of the structure, the scalability of what kind of electricity they use, water they use, things of that nature, capacity. Those did come into play, and I do think that there is room to grow within this definition. This was something that that we found in other communities, and so kind of just getting something in the books right now. But it definitely has room to tighten up from a definition standpoint.
If it's authored in such a way that it gives us the ability to refuse a large data center, then it may be what our citizens are looking for, because every community that you get an Amazon data center in, the electric rates go up for everybody as the demand increases. So it may be that the folks who come beyond us will need the ability to say no in a way that our ordinances allow.
And I appreciate that. I think that if there is any recommendations that council may have that we can plug into this definition, I'm open for it, because that's the intent behind this, is to do something now before, we get into a situation where we can't. So.
All right. Thank you. Other questions? All right. Thank you, Ms. York.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. The time is 6:25. We will open the public hearing at this time. And I have 3 requests to speak cards. Let's start with those. And Marshall Bell from Thompson Drive in Van Alstyne has a card here. Come up, please, ma'am. Give us your name and address, please.
Sure. Hi, my name's Marshall Bell. Let me get to where the beginning was. I just want to say thank you for being so forward-thinking. I was actually asked by some friends to be here. So, hello, City Council and Denison Mayor. My name's Marshall Bell, and I'm a resident of Van Alstyne. I was asked to be here by a few friends of mine in the back, and to share my thoughts with you about this agenda item. And let's see. Sorry, I lost my spot. As a conservative grassroots activist, I have worked in the political sphere for a few years now, and based on my experience, I believe what the council is attempting to do this evening is right on track. Defining terms is how other districts are circumventing the state's Big Brother laws, hamstringing our local municipalities. You have to use the tools that are at your disposal. And residents need to understand how restricted our city council and our civic leaders they are, and to not assign blame to y'all when it's really the state that is the problem, unfortunately. Over the last 20 years, our state government has slowly chipped away local control with bills like HB 2127 from 2023, which is commonly referred to as the Death Star bill. Whoever is on council, that has been on council for a while, might know what that bill is and what that did to you and your abilities to manage your city and your ordinances as you wish and as your residents expect you to. Even though we know your decision-making ability is limited, that doesn't negate your voice on behalf of your residents. Recently, we have heard our own state reps say that their hands are tied. And that, quote, there's nothing they can do. Well, I'm sorry. I personally believe that that's a cop-out. What we need our local officials to do is help educate residents, become activists for your taxpayers, inform them on what legislation is hamstringing you, and go testify at committee hearings down in Austin that are currently being taken place right now. We also need you to fight against the narrative that with no taxpayer-funded lobbying, because that limits y'all again. So we really need you guys to be not just our voice, but our advocates, and help educate the people that are in this room that might think that you're at fault, when in reality, you're on the same page as we are. The state of Texas is failing us and using the Republican versus Democrat narrative as a red herring to distract the populace from what is really going on. The globalist control of Texas is happening, and they are using deregulation and property owner rights as a weapon against generational Texans. I think that was my buzzer, right? Okay. Well, again, I appreciate y'all for being forward-thinking, because I know Van Alstyne is watching you guys up here in Denison and Sherman, so I would love to be able to bring what you guys do up here as recommendations down there. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Next card I have is for Bree Smith of Sherman. Bree, would you like to come up? Thank you for being here. And if you could just give us your name and address, please, for the record.
Yes, my name is Bree Smith, 5295 North Travis Street in Sherman, Texas. I do want to start off by saying I agree with the definition change, and I'm glad the city is being so proactive among this ever-shifting landscape. My concern, however, is about what data centers would be zoned as. I believe that under the current guidelines of permitted uses for heavy or light industrial districts according to city code, it kind of violates those as well. The code currently states, following uses are permitted, provided such manufacturing or operation shall not disseminate dust, fumes, gas, noxious odor, smoke, glare, or other atmospheric influence, and produces no noise exceeding the average intensity of street noise at that level. Data centers violate these in 6 distinct ways. First, noise pollution. Data centers are complex structures that require many industrial support systems. Data centers have been regularly recorded to generate noise levels that exceed 90 decibels. And for reference, anything above 85 decibels is harmful for human hearing. Number 2, air pollution. Many data centers have supplementally fueled fossil fuel backup generators and emit hazardous pollutants, increasing the rates of respiratory disease, cardiovascular conditions, and elevating cancer risks in the community. 3, light pollution. Some facilities require all-night lighting that disrupts melatonin and sleep-wake cycles. It also disturbs migration patterns of local flora and fauna, particularly bats, butterflies, and birds. 4, electricity strain and cost. In mid-April of this year, ERCOT announced that due to data centers specifically, there's a projected quadrupling of the strain to the grid. We are already getting notices from ERCOT about how strained the grid is, and that is without this quadrupling. Aside from the raw strain, there's a financial component as well. According to a Bloomberg analysis, areas with high concentrations of data centers saw electricity prices jump 267% over the past 5 years. 5, heat generation. Data centers create heat islands, meaning the heat they produce heats the surrounding air around it. It has been recorded to get up to 16 degrees hotter. Think about that in the Texas heat where we get up to regularly 113. That gets up to 129, and that's not compatible with human life. And finally, 6, water. Large data centers can consume up to 5 million gallons of potable water per day. That is the equivalent of a city populated up to 50,000 people, which is nearly twice the entire population of Denison. If you think about that for a moment, one data center can use more clean water per day than the entire city population. For these reasons, I believe that data centers do not meet the permissions for even heavy or light industrial use, but if they absolutely must be districted, then restricting them to heavy industrial only and keeping in track with those conditional use permits and really bunkering down and making sure those permits address those above issues is of utmost importance. I thank you all for your time.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Smith. Thank you. The next card I have is from Lauren Wilson. Is Lauren here? Please come forward. Ms. Wilson, if you could please give your name and address for the record.
Sure. It's Lauren Wilson, and I live at 802 Old Ambrose Road in Bells, Texas.
All right, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm here tonight because I am deeply concerned about the long-term impacts that large-scale data centers can have on communities and local resources. And I believe the public deserves a chance to better understand those impacts. I wanted to speak tonight about large-scale data center development and how quickly these projects are becoming part of conversations in communities across Texas and throughout the country. While these facilities can bring short-term economic activity, they can also create long-term demands that aren't always obvious in the beginning, including sustained water use, increased pressure on the electric grid, and strain on local infrastructure over time. I strongly encourage people to research the experiences of other rural communities and review factual information about the concerns that many residents and local governments are already raising across the country. Data centers can raise your electricity bill, and not to reiterate, but yes, up to 267% over the course of 5 years in areas with concentrated data centers like Northern Virginia. They can also decrease the value of your home by making your community less desirable to live in, amongst countless other things. As our community considers it, and I know you said you have not been approached at this time, but if this does come up in the future, we need to make sure development aligns with the capacity of our local resources and does not create stress on water supply, energy reliability, and public infrastructure as a whole. I would encourage the city to prioritize transparency, public input, and carefully review the process for any large industrial developments of this kind. I would also support slowing or pausing approvals until we have a clear understanding of the potential accumulative impacts on local resources and infrastructure. At the very least, I hope this becomes an open and informed community conversation before any final decisions are made. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of or against? Yes, sir, please come forward. We'll need your name and address, please, sir.
It's James Cruz, and it's 255 Big Mineral in Sadler.
Sadler, okay, thank you.
I appreciate everything, and like a couple said, like our brother on the invocation said, Denison's a great place to live, so I think that's the main reason I'm here. Mr. Mayor said he wants to thank the Public Works for keeping the water flowing. You know, I think those really hit home. I talked to so many, I do so much research on these, and so many people don't know. You know, everybody's busy working, doing their thing, and if you start researching what these massive monstrosities do, again, these people, these billionaires, these corporate, they don't care. They're here to extract the resources, and I would just be regurgitating what some of them have already said. But if you get on just Google and look up data center controversies, you just see case after case. You know, it's like nobody wants to be there and be with them. And to reiterate again, if you want to go, well, I'm getting out of here, you know, there's not going to be a bunch of places to go because they're popping up everywhere if you see the data center map. And then you're not going to be able to sell. You go, I'm going to leave here, I'm going to sell my place. Well, who's going to buy it? And that's something to think about. One case that has been a little publicized, like Lake Tahoe, the Public Works or company, electricity said the residents could no longer have the electricity starting in several months from now. It was all going to the data center. So no more electricity from that grid, from that company to the residents. So they lost out on that. I just think we all have to stand up and just say no way. And like she said, put a moratorium on them to at least you see, because it ain't gonna take a year. You put a moratorium on them for a year, it's not gonna take a year to see the devastation. Like right now, you can go and wherever they are, nobody wants them there. The monstrosities of what they can use, and I don't want them getting into, you know, Red River, Lake Texoma, all that. One of the case studies talks about how they have a waiting list. They're paying $25 million to get on a waiting list for some of these generators to generate the electricity. They don't have the infrastructure to have it, so they're in the loophole. They're bringing in gas generators that produce all kind of pollution and are not up to code, but you know, they're making loopholes for those just so, you know, 10 years, 15 years, they might have those other generators. So I was pleased to hear that y'all haven't been approached. That was music to my ears. I hope that's all good and true. And I would just ask, you know, think of everybody, think of the place we have here, and that's why we're here. And if they can do that in Lake Tahoe, I'm pretty sure it would happen to Lake Texoma pretty easy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Our lake is better. It produces electricity.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of or against this item on the agenda? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Kurt Chakowski, 1419 West Woodard here in Denison. I'm speaking tonight as a citizen, and having read all of the information on the website here. First, I was born in I was high school in 1973. In order to get to 21, I have to take my shoes off. So it is important to understand what a tremendous job your staff has done for you. They have closed a loophole that other places unfortunately didn't realize. The second thing to understand is a data center definition has greatly changed. As Councilman Massey has talked about, we have to be able to scale it. The bottom of a cell tower has a data center in it. A data center is the brain, where the telecommunication system is the nervous center that puts the information out. Those of us that like Netflix, Amazon Prime to stream video, we don't want a latency problem. And so the smaller data centers are there to ensure that latency is reduced. So what we're doing here now, or what I heard and read, is that we are going to close the loophole then going to develop the developmental standards and conditional use permit to ensure we can control what is going to happen in here in a very measured, very open, very transparent way so that we can decide what our future is going to be. So again, commendation to your city staff. Just need to hold our feet to the fire as we go to the future there and make sure that we scale it to what it is that we are looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in favor of or against this item on the agenda? Yes, sir. Please come forward and give us your name and address. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for being proactive and starting to look at this. Chris Tronzano, 1699 FM 2729, Tom Bean, Texas. Most of my points have already been touched on. What I would ask you all to consider is the definition of data center versus AI data center. Data centers, I've worked on several, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cisco, State Farm. They look like office buildings. They house computers. They sit in office parks. You can't tell they're not an office building. They've got darked out windows. They don't make noise. They don't use a ton of water, electricity, don't pollute. The AI data centers are massive, heavy industrial sites. And the SUP goes a long way to give the council and the city the ability to mandate additional requirements on top of that. I would ask you to consider putting in a definition for AI data centers requiring certain setbacks from property lines, maximum noise levels at the property line, no light pollution, no 24-hour lighting, dark sky ordinances, things that the city can go in and enforce and further restrict these massive AI data centers coming in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of or against this item? If not, the time is 6:42 and this public hearing is closed. Comments or questions from council?
Thank everybody for their input.
Yeah.
Thank you. And once again, we know of no one who has approached the city of Denison. And we are very grateful to our Planning and Zoning Committee. We've had some great work there, and our staff, thank you very much for a lot of hard work. And so we look forward to more and more information as we go along to make the best decisions possible. And I think we've started that here tonight with a lot of good input from everyone, so thank you. If there's no other questions or discussions, is there a motion to approve item 5B?
Mayor, I move to approve an ordinance for the proposed amendments to section 28.49 and to section 28.63 of the zoning ordinance.
Second.
There's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Adams, a second by Councilman Massey. Any other questions or comments?
I will say that with the AI world we're in, it's the infancy of it. It's like where we were with dial-up in the 90s. And everything has been moving frequently. And so I do ask, let's keep an eye on this and not let another 16 years go by before we update it. So.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Now we move to item number 6 on the agenda. Ms. Alsabaugh, if we could have a report and hold a discussion on FY27 budget and tax rate adoption schedule. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. If you want to leave now, you're welcome, but thank you. Thanks for coming.
Not you, Ms. Ossabaugh, you got to stay.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm here to give you an overview of the fiscal year 27 budget and tax rate adoption timeline. Our budget kickoff begins in early March and ends in early September once we adopt our budget. And on the slide presented, you'll see the key dates for this process. April 17th, our preliminary tax figures were received from the appraisal district. On April the 20th, I provided a fiscal year 26 mid-year review to council. So today, May 18th, is the presentation of our budget calendar. In June, budget discussions will be held with the city manager and staff. That gives us a better understanding of what our priority needs are for the budget. On June the 26th, we will hold our annual budget workshop here in the council chambers from 8 to 12. On July 13th, I will give you a budget update at the council meeting. On July the 25th, so on or before July the 25th, our certified values from the appraisal district will be received by us, and that will allow us to fine-tune our proposed budget. July the 31st, our proposed budget will be filed with the city clerk's office and posted on our website with weekly updates. And on August 17th, there will be another budget presentation, a roll call vote to call a public hearing on our tax rate. And on September the 1st, we will publish notices of the public hearing on the proposed tax rate and budget. And on September the 8th, we will hold a public hearing on our tax rate and budget, adopt our budget, and adopt our tax rate. And that will conclude our fiscal year 27 budget process and the legal requirements that we have to follow. There is no action needed for this. It was just a project update, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about the timeline.
Any questions for Ms. Alsabal? All right. Thank you for all you do, and we appreciate you. Item number 7 on the agenda is executive session. Under the executive section, we can consult with an attorney on matters in which the attorney's duty to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct conflicts with this chapter, and/or consult with an attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or contemplated settlement of the same, Section 551.071. And items under 7A include state laws regarding public improvement districts, tax increment reinvestment zones, and municipal utility districts. And item number 2 is Preston Harbor Development. The time now is 6:47. We'll go into executive session. It's likely going to be one of our lengthier sessions we've had in a while. So you're welcome to hang around. But at this time, our council will move to the side chamber for the executive session. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's 7:26. We'll declare the executive session completed and back in session for the city council. Report to you that no action was taken in the executive session. I'd also like to say thank you to our staff, for all of you. Each of you does a huge job for the city, and there's no way we can get by without you. So thank you all. If there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 7:26. Thank you.